now we're going to move on to an interesting story, to say the least. An interesting story that has happened recently in the news. So I don't know if you know about hip hop or rap, but P Diddy, right? He's gone by the name of P Diddy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puff, Sean Combs, a bunch of, he has a lot of names. Okay, he's been in the business for decades, right? You would say, yeah, decades basically. You knew him for Bad Boy. You knew him maybe from the East Coast, West Coast beef back in the 90s. Notorious B.I.G. and a whole bunch of other artists like Mace and stuff like that. Yeah, he's very known in music as a producer and all that. But yeah, there was always rumors about P Diddy, or I'm just gonna say Diddy, right? No Diddy. There was always rumors about him. You know, weird stuff going on about him grooming. I know Usher, as a teenager, his mom gave him permission to kind of not really have custody, but kind of look after him to get his career to pop off, whatever. And there was some questionable things. I know Justin Bieber was also in the news as far as like Diddy grooming him or whatever. But yeah, there was other fucking insane stories like Scott McCuddy or Kid Cudi had his car blown up, and allegedly it was Diddy. Maybe it'll come up in the news if it's true. But yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that happened. There was also the biggest rumor that he had something to do with Pac's murder. They did catch the guy. The other guys died that were involved in it. But yeah, there was a alleged rumor that he had something to do. He put out the hit on Pac's life, but I don't know. Those are things that are very hard to prove or whatever. The guy that they caught and charged for that murder is claiming that it did come from him. But I'm not gonna confirm nor deny it. Also, a video of him in Cassie, which is an artist, an R&B artist, in the hotel. He basically, yeah, there's footage of him, like physically abusing her. So I don't condone any abuse or any type of violence, especially towards your domestic partner. But yeah, there's a lot that has been not only recently, but throughout years that has come out about P. Diddy. But the main one that really, really was floating out there is that he basically is a sex trafficker. He throws these wild, insane parties. A lot of celebrities mention it. There's a funny video. Well, not really funny, but LeBron James made a video talking to Diddy over the phone, and he was like, ain't no party like a Diddy party. But yeah, these parties are known for freak offs, right? So he would basically bring women, have celebrities, and basically kind of like Jeffrey Epstein without the underage, like, if that makes any sense. I don't know. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna see. He was basically, they raided his house one time, and I don't know if he caught wind of it and he tried to escape or flee the country, but I think they stopped his jet. He was in his private jet, but they got him to come back. Nothing happened there. They weren't able to find anything during that raid. Now his son, one of his sons, did a diss track on 50 Cent, because 50 Cent, it's a lot to take in. But yeah, bear with me here. Just to preface, 50 Cent has always been someone that hasn't associated with P Diddy. He's always trolling him. He's always against him. Just do your research. But his son basically did a diss track on 50 and also mentioned that raid, saying like, oh, you got the wrong house. You got the wrong residence, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So recently, in these days, well, this week, they arrested him and they did a raid, probably on a different residence. And they found a shit ton of baby oil and lube and also weapons. They also found hard drives with these freak offs because he would record it. It's known that in his mansions, he has like hidden cameras in every room and bathrooms and everything. And he would basically record freak offs and anything that goes on there and use it as blackmail, basically. But yeah, they found all that shit. So they arrested him, the FBI. I believe they denied his bail. Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's actually learn about his charges. But those are kind of the rumors and basically kind of what's going on, just to keep you in the loop. And yeah, 13 disturbing details in P Diddy's indictment revealed after rapper's arrest. Holy, is this the end for P Diddy?
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York.
One of the most famous names in the hip-hop world is now facing 3 charges in federal court. Many people have come forward in recent months to accuse Sean Diddy Combs of abuse,
he's looking a little rough,
drug possession, and more. But now the
he's looking a little rust, man.
Is getting involved and promising to bring down.
But honestly, throughout the years, he hasn't changed much.
Empire. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
All right.
This office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful.
The district attorney in New York does not play, by the way.
No
so
one should doubt our commitment on that.
Talk about a day in the legal and crime world. And today, it all centers around Sean Diddy Combs and all of these details and filings in his new criminal case. And we're going to break it down for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before you break it down, I wonder. So they found videos, and I not this. They did find the videos and stuff like that. Do you think someone's gonna leak those videos? Like, there's footage of his bodyguard and all that. Like, oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It seems like something out of a movie, something like crazy, but this is real. This is real. Like, I don't know if it's ever gonna leak, but some of the things that has come out is just unfathomable. Like,
right now, I'll give you everything you need to know. So, the Southern District of New York is promising justice for multiple victims who say that rapper, producer, businessman Combs used his power, influence, and wealth to intimidate them into doing his bidding, whether that was obtaining drugs or performing
also,
sexually
like,
or cleaning up after
it's not only regular civilians and stuff like that, like celebrities, people of importance, like
Ventura, Cassie, Combs' ex, filed a huge lawsuit against him, claiming that he abused her physically, sexually, emotionally for years before
and
she was finally able to get away.
She was blackballed too.
Now, Combs denied everything she had to say in her filing.
Yeah, so this is Cassie, right? I remember she had a song. She I believe her hit song was like Me and You, I think it was. I remember when that song came out, and oh my god, she is, oh man, she is very attractive. But yeah, this was now he's been with a lot of people like J-Lo and whatnot. But yeah, when she came out, basically they were together. She claimed about the abuse, but it was just hearsay. so they never really charged him or found any evidence. But yeah, as I said recently, there was a video that leaked, camera footage from a hotel where she was trying to escape the room. She went. I'm not gonna show it on stream, and hopefully he doesn't show it, but because I'm not sure if it's TOS, terms of service. But yeah, she tried to escape, go to the elevator. He came running after her in a towel and basically beat the shit and kicked the shit out of her. So obviously her claims are true, are real. So I mean, if this is something, I'm always, when I was in college and I took like media production and stuff like that, I remember, shout out to the teacher. He was incredible, but I was going through a lot of things. So yeah, I should have paid more attention. Well, I did pay attention. I was just physically exhausted when I had to go to classes. But Ross Mathau, I believe his name is. So shout out to you if you're out there and you ever see this. But he said one thing, like if there's one thing in media production class that I kind of clicked with me and stayed with me throughout all these years, it's media literacy, right? I think that is something that is lacking nowadays. Not only media literacy, but basically what that means is don't believe what you see, okay? Or what you hear. Do your research. It's not only with media, it's with anything, right? Make sure you got the facts. Make sure it's basically a closed case before you start coming up with a verdict or anything. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of misinformation going around, floating around as of recently. Like it feels like before there was like trusted sources and everything was verifiable. But nowadays anyone can post, anyone can be the media, especially now that X is basically like it's basically like the place, like, you know, back in the days, like a town would kind of meet in the middle and all like exchange information and all that. That's what X is, but online, digitally. So I feel like there's so much shit on X that anyone can say. They could just throw out some false information and people will just look at it and just believe it and take it as is. And that's not media literacy. So like if you see headlines or you see something, do your research. Make sure you have everything on the table before you jump into conclusions. A lot of people are quick to see something and believe it and take it at face value. But yeah.
He settled the lawsuit with her just one day after it was filed, but we know that set off a chain reaction. Multiple other lawsuits against him. And
it's crazy how he has some strong ass genes, because this is his son and it looks identical to him.
Narcotics possession, violence. Then in March of this year, Homeland Security agents, they show up at Combs' homes in both Miami and Los Angeles. Search warrants.
Wrong homes.
They raided both locations, seemingly collecting a huge amount of evidence, which we will get through in a moment. And we learned at the time,
but not enough to convict him or anything.
Sex trafficking investigation out of the Southern District of New York, but we didn't know all the exact details.
Or maybe they did find a lot of things, but they were just working on a solid case, and now is the result of that investigation. I don't know.
Well, you fast forward to this week, and Combs was officially arrested Monday night at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York out in Manhattan. According to his defense team, he had been booked there since September 5th. That was nearly 2 weeks ago. And he was in town in anticipation of the charges being filed, which is important because now that Combs has been arrested and charged, he says this is an example to show he's not a flight risk. He's been cooperative.
Yeah, but I don't know. In any situation, in any, like, let's say you commit a crime, whatever, and then that happens. Even though you're not a flight risk, you would think he would know, like, oh shit, they were too close to figuring it out or whatever. See, but again, I'm not sure if during those raids they found everything to charge him now, or if it was a separate raid that they did to find whatever they didn't find before. But if that's the case, you would think he would be like, oh, they got too close to figuring it out. Let me kind of hide it somewhere else. Let me move it. Let me destroy it. Let me discard it or whatever, so that there's no solid evidence. But maybe I'm starting to think that they did find that, and so it was like, GG's. It's a matter of time.
However,
still crazy.
U.S. Attorney Damian Williams, again from the Southern District of New York, held a press conference and was asked about Combs' cooperation in this case. He seems skeptical.
Let me just say this. I think that generally and with increasing frequency, the word cooperative or cooperating has taken on tremendous elasticity.
True. Because as I mentioned before, during that raid, bro was on his private jet going to a place where there was no extradition. Basically, extradition, if you don't know what that means, is basically, let's say you commit a crime, you're wanted here, you flee, you go to another country. Some countries will cooperate, arrest you, and then ship you back here for you to face trial and justice, whatever. But non-extradition basically means there's countries that you can get away with it. You can go, but you can't come back because you'll be prosecuted here. But they won't ship you out. So he tried to go to one of those countries or places, but they caught him midair. So turn that fucking private jet around, get your ass over here, because you're not escaping from us.
And it no longer really bears.
So yeah, I don't know about the cooperation. That seems far-fetched.
We use it in a very specific context. So responding to lawful.
Also, I don't know if this prosecutor thinks that he's just gonna hand over all the video recordings, the 5,000 bottles of baby oil and lube. That's crazy. That is insane. Like, obviously, he's not gonna cooperate like that. No criminal, they're not gonna just flat out like kill someone with a gun and be like, here's a gun, I did it, blah blah. Sometimes, but that is rare. Like, you know, unless you're trying to get caught or whatever.
Process and the like does not qualify as cooperation when we use that term here.
Also, when that's the case, bro, when someone's not cooperating, like, you can, yeah, the fucking government, the district attorney, the attorney general, or whoever the fuck, right? They're like, out of courtesy, they're gonna be like, all right, you want to cooperate, do things the easy way. But that's just out of courtesy. But if someone's refusing to do that shit, do it the hard way. You can easily go present the information or evidence to the judge, get a warrant, and be like, all right, you don't want to cooperate? Doesn't matter. Let's go. Doom, doom, doom. FBI, open up. But who knows? I don't know.
By the way, as we sort through all these legal filings around Sean Combs, and there's a lot to get into, can I just take a quick second to tell you guys about something positive? Yeah, something that I think you're actually going to really love. Would you want cash back when you buy gas and
bro, miss me with the sponsorships, man. Holy shit, I got a bubble in my throat. What the fuck was that? I surprised myself. We're going to skip the sponsorships. As I said, this stream is sponsored by nobody.
Although, to be clear, Combs is the only one named in this filing for now. He faces 3 charges: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, during a hearing on Tuesday,
crazy
Combs
charges.
Guilty plea to every charge. And if he is convicted of all charges, Combs faces a minimum of 15 years in prison with the possibility that the 54-year-old could spend the rest of his life behind bars.
15 years? I mean, he has infinite amount of money unless they freeze his I know he was trying to get his bail to like 50 million or whatever, plus I don't know what, which they denied. Like, he has infinite amount of money. The dude has been in the game for more than 20 years, like, or 30 years. But anyways, 15 seems kind of light. I know possibility of life, but for those insane charges and the amount of evidence that they have against him pointing to it being real, you would think he would get way more than 15 to, you know. Life is life. It doesn't matter if you get one life term, like, sentence, or two life sentences, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. And also, I don't think he's going to be the only one indicted. I think later on, probably, they're going to issue more charges. Because I know during the raid, they were going to investigate his sons. Like, there's definitely people behind the scenes that know.
That's what we're talking about here. So we're going to break down each of these counts for you, as well as more on why Combs says he should be allowed out on bail while he waits trial. And
also, I don't know. Fuck, I keep pausing, but there's just so much to throw out there. But I don't know as well. I did mention the Tupac rumor of him being involved in that murder. Maybe it's just a rumor, as I said. I'm not gonna confirm nor deny. But will they use, because I know in a lot of cases, once they get you for something, they'll investigate even other things to try to get charges to stick. So I'm not sure if they're going to look into that even more and see if they can charge him with that too. But there's a lot of stuff in the air that is yet to happen. But it's insane.
Let's start with the indictment. It's 14 pages, jam-packed with information. I want to hit the highlights. So first, right out of the gate, the government lays out some pretty damning accusations. Quote, for decades, Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a.
Correction. Not only the government, but the hip-hop community and everyone. Everyone just knew it. You know, even if you don't know anything about the guy, you probably heard rumors or created them yourself.
A.k.a. P Diddy, a.k.a. P D, Love. They, throughout the course of this indictment, refer to him by as many monikers. The defendant abused.
I wonder his Wikipedia page, how many aliases he has.
His sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice.
I remember too, he had a not a documentary. He had a show where I believe I don't know if it was finding talent or if it was trying to hire an assistant. This guy made the contestants on the show walk, like it was in New York, I think, from Manhattan to far. Like, it took them hours just for a pastry. But like, if you see that should bring up some red flags. That should bring up some concerns. Or like, if I don't know, like 50 was maybe 50 was on point with also his associate. It's not only his associates, but as I said, people of power, people like celebrities are also associated. So Yeah, I don't know, man. That's crazy though.
Which brings me now to count 1.
Seems like
Racketeering
a bunch of
conspiracy. So the main idea here
counts
is that there
besides
is
3.
a criminal agreement, an agreement to engage in racketeering. And racketeering is when there is a criminal enterprise, it's like organized crime, a grouping of people who break the law. They commit crimes. Now, it doesn't need to be Sean Combs Breaks the Law, LLC,
Yeah, but he can
an official company. Just an organized group of people, organized crime.
He doesn't
And
even
a
have to
criminal
commit the
enterprise
crime.
is
He
supposed
can
to have a
he
common goal. So whether it was to benefit financially,
can
whether it was
demand
to
someone
satisfy
to
Sean
commit the
Combs'
crimes for him.
sexual desires, whether it was
That's
to
how they get
protect
the
him, there has to be-
mafia, the Italian mafia, right? The Cosa Nostra, the whatever you want to call it. They came up Rudy Giuliani, who you might know from Trump, or he was I don't know, he was the governor, the mayor of New York at one point. He really focused on the mafia back in the days when they were very prominent, the 5 families in New York, and he came up with the RICO. So racketeering. I don't know the proper term, but basically, yeah, he it has to do with that, a criminal enterprise or organized crime. Organized crime doesn't only mean mafia; it can be anything. But yeah, imagine, is this a RICO case or yeah?
A common goal in mind. We saw this, we're seeing this actually, I should say, in the Young Thug trial out of Georgia. Big thing for the prosecution is they have listed a number of different crimes. They're trying to say this wasn't done in an individual capacity, but it was done to further that gang. Similar idea here. Okay. Now also, as you're going to see here,
in Young Thug's case and a lot of rappers' cases, like, yeah, if they're part of a gang, I would see how they would want to further the organization. But P Diddy, what does he gain from this? I think this is just pure pleasure. Honestly, he doesn't, like, he's not. Is he making money from it? I'm maybe he's doing it for monetary gain. But honestly, P Diddy doesn't need to do it. I think he enjoys it. I think he does it out of pleasure more than to further his organizations or anything. Like, that's it. He reached he basically endgame, and now he's just roaming around doing side quests. But
in a racketeering
I don't get it, man.
There are numerous
I'm too poor.
predicate crimes. These are underlying crimes that Combs is not specifically charged with, like arson or kidnapping or forced labor, but they are crimes under the umbrella of the larger criminal enterprise. By the way, I should tell you, the racketeering allegations that we see in this indictment are very consistent with the allegations put forward by Rodney.
Yeah, no shit. As I said, I think there's probably going to be more charges that they're going to try to make stick. I don't think 3 charges are that, like, going to be it. But yeah, I said I'm too poor because I don't understand. Like, for me, if I make it out of, like, if I get money, if I have enough money, I don't know if it's greed, I don't know what it is, but if I have enough money, I'd be satisfied, okay? And I'll be like, okay, yeah, I can have, like, passive income and whatever, but especially, like, if it has to do with crime, or I don't know by what means getting money, if I'm in the game, whether it's drugs or whatever, once I've made enough to be financially set, I'm not going to continue. Why? There's no reason. But that's the thing with criminals. They just never see, like, an end goal. They just want more but they're going to get caught and whatever. Yeah, this guy, Rodney, I believe he's a producer, and he made accusations that are pretty much already confirmed. But yeah.
Little Rod Jones, Combs' former producer, who was one of the people that filed a sexual assault lawsuit against him and said there were violations of racketeering law. In fact, although no one is specifically named in
civilians,
this indictment,
famous people, women, men,
who those alleged
everything.
victims of Combs are, their allegations, that they were the basis for the charges here, especially Cassandra Ventura, because we all know that when that video,
this is the video I was talking about,
released by CNN a few months ago of
this
Sean
is
Combs
insane,
purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura in a hotel elevator bank, that was publicized for the whole world to see, and he apologized for on Instagram. That is mentioned specifically. I don't
that apology video, I seen it. It didn't seem sincere. He probably wasn't sincere, honestly. Like, obviously, you do something that you have to apologize for, whether it's on social media or whatever. You're trying to save your image. You're trying to at least recover. You're doing damage work, but he was not sincere. And also, I would say it was worse than fucking YouTube apologies. Maybe not Miranda Singh's apology. Hers was just not even an apology. But yeah, crazy.
In this indictment. Now, reading from the indictment, it says, quote, "The defendant and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprises affairs. These individuals included
also, I think the known are gonna expose the unknown.
Staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs." Now, one of the most startling examples of Combs' alleged control over those around
That's crazy.
him
They're not going to
the
take it with a
description
grain
of
of salt
apparent
either.
Sex parties called freak-offs. This is something that Ventura and others alleged in their lawsuits. What are they? Well, the indictment says Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship.
But I heard that it's not only females. I think it's males as well. But listen, I just don't get it, man. A lot of the times when for me, this is just my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like a lot of crimes could be averted and also avoided, like, or stopped before it reaches a certain extent. Like, you always hear about, like, a shooter or a serial killer where the FBI gets tipped off or the police gets tipped off or someone comes with an allegation or whatever, or a rumor. And they're like, okay, I take it into consideration. It goes through one ear, out through the other. I get it if it's one or a few people. But, like, if fucking an associate is saying something and everyone else is saying something and everyone believes something, or there's a bunch of rumors, why do you not look into it? I feel like if they look into it early, they could have avoided a whole bunch of shit that happened. And that's usually the case. I don't know. That's how I view it. Like, it's, man. Like, his body, his security, even his security, the producers, his domestic partner at the time, who's also famous. Like, you hear a whole bunch of shit and something has to happen. Like, it's not The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Like, if a bunch of people are saying some shit, like, they're saying it for some reason. Figure out the reason. Like,
Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced
and this show
sex
is like
performances that Combs arranged,
recorded,
directed. I'm not going to say the next part. Basically, pleasured himself during and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days,
Yeah.
and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. So this is also kind of
In
a flavor
in
of the
his
sex trafficking
and
charge,
his
which we'll get to a
mansions
little bit
as
later.
well as
During
yachts and
freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety
everywhere.
of controlled
Probably even in
substances to victims,
fucking
in
the
part
jet
to
and
keep
stuff
the
like
victims
that.
obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. The indictment then provides more details about what Combs expected his employees to do before, during.
But then again, it comes with maybe I'm too poor, because I feel like celebrities, stars, people who are very known get away with a whole bunch of shit that if they weren't in that spot, they wouldn't be able to do. Like, I don't think a random ass, a pimp from the street, or like you or me or anyone can do this to this extent. You know what I'm saying? But him, maybe his status, maybe his fame, his fortune. Like, really? First of all, drugs and alcohol and extortion, prostitution, a whole bunch of shit, right? And then you have the outlet to have, I know there's stuff that, like, if you get a hangover, if you drink, you can kind of receive some fluids, or there's services that would give you like basically an IV to kind of hydrate yourself and all that. But he probably didn't do that. He probably like had like some sort of connection to like a hookup, basically. Like, it's what the fuck, man?
During and after these sessions.
Now, Combs did not do this all on his own.
Yeah, no shit.
As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business.
Okay, so this is a RICO case.
Of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs.
Except for his security guard, Gene. I don't know. Maybe he ousted him or whatever. But maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna accuse him of partaking in said things, but he's one of the people that outed him and kind of brought it to light and recorded conversation and things that were happening. But yeah. As far as the RICO case goes, just to mention once again, like, if you're involved in a RICO case, if you're like the top of the top, you don't have to commit the crime yourself. You can order people under you to commit those crimes for you. Like, let's say I was in the mob, right? Let's say I was the boss or the underboss, right? I don't have to go out and commit a murder. I can send my associates or my captains to do it. And I'll still get hit with the RICO. Even though I didn't physically commit that crime. But I gave the order. So, yeah, he's pretty much, he's fucked. He's not in the mob, but in this criminal organization, or whatever you want to label it, I think he's done.
Hotel rooms.
It's not looking good for him.
With the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant.
Yeah, baby, say how much. Say how much. Bro, like, it's not one bottle of lube and baby oil. Hell no. We're talking about thousands. Thousands. I remember when COVID-19 happened, there was a guy who tried to capitalize by buying a whole bunch of fucking hand sanitizer from Amazon just to kind of upsell and stuff like that. And the government was like, oh, hell no. We're not going to allow that. And he basically had to take the L. If P Diddy is buying thousands, again, maybe his status, his fame, his money, thousands of baby oil and lube, that's not going to raise eyebrows. I hear that shit and I already know, like, why do you need that much? Like, what the hell? Do you
extra
own a
linens,
beach or
and
something?
lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs.
Oh, so you're fucking stupid if you're doing this shit in a hotel when you have 5 mansions or whatever. A mansion, you would keep it kind of not public, right? But in a hotel, I don't know, man.
To pay for the commercial sex workers.
I'm no criminal.
According to the indictment, in or about March of 2024, during searches of Combs' residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California law enforcement
1,000
seized
bottles.
various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of
More
baby
than.
oil and lubricant.
More than.
Wow, you talk about physical evidence here to prove these claims. Now, federal prosecutors allege that Combs used the threat of violence as well as actual assaults to keep his alleged victims in line. The indictment reads, quote, Combs maintained control over his victims
This is
through,
fucking
among other things,
mind-blowing.
physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance,
What?
monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs,
what?
among other things,
That has to be
hit
his
through
associates
objects
and
at
people that
dragged
work with him.
victims at times by their hair. These assaults often result.
But oh man, I know it kind of seems too like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like they probably got paid a lot of money, like something that a 9 to 5 wouldn't give or anything. But bro, like if I was one of his staff and I was getting paid a lot, like no amount of money is gonna make me think that that is the only job in the world, and that not like I don't know, dude.
Resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. So a majority of that indictment covers that first count, racketeering conspiracy. Now I want to talk quickly about the other 2 counts that he faces. So count 2 is a charge of sex trafficking of a victim by using force or coercion or fraud to have that person engage in commercial sex acts that
I feel like it's way more extensive than.
And there were allegations that Combs had made promises of
than just that,
so forth, to get what he wanted. And he's also charged with count 3, which is related to the transportation of people for purposes of prostitution.
So this is basically
now,
like.
Quick side note about this: this is a comprehensive indictment, but
sex trafficking, human trafficking.
A lot of details about what evidence prosecutors have to prove all of this. It also doesn't include every allegation that has been asserted against Combs in numerous civil complaints. For instance, there is nothing regarding minors. You know, there's been a lot of allegations.
Yeah,
that there were
as I said, it's Jeffrey Epstein
Combs
without
parties, which we had heard before in these other allegations,
underage
these other, complaints. Nothing about minors here. Now, Damian Williams.
But then again, fucking, as I said, the grooming, I don't know, like. I'm not saying that when Usher was a teenager, obviously there's interviews where Usher says that that not that he partook in said activity, but he did witness things that a minor shouldn't. But who knows? Who knows? Unless they come out and make allegations or say like, hey, you would think that the law would. I don't know, man.
U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York said that
this is why I'm not a lawyer or anything.
He wouldn't confirm it one way or another, said nothing's off the table, so we don't know. But maybe there wasn't enough evidence to prove that there were minors at these parties or Combs did anything criminal.
Bro, there's interviews of Usher saying, while I was there, I've seen shit that minors shouldn't see, kids shouldn't see. Like, does he have to flat out say like, yo, this, like, what is going on? Brother, Diddy definitely seems like the guy that if you're a minor and you're like this or y'all cool, whatever, and you let's say you're you're underage or whatever, and he happens to throw a freak off while you're there, maybe you're not partaking in it, he'd definitely be like, you a virgin? Oh, we're gonna change that. We can't have that. Come over here. Do that to blah 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 blah. Or you're not getting paid, or I'm not paying your rent, or whatever the fuck. I'm not buying you a Birkin bag. He definitely seems like that type of guy. He probably has, well, obviously, he's charged with it.
Criminal relief.
Like, his sons probably lost their virginity because Diddy was doing a freak off, and Diddy was like, yeah, take care of that for me, please.
To minors. But I tell you what, we did get a lot more information from another filing from the prosecution. I'll get to that in a second. First, I have to get to the defense, because in a letter filed with the court on Tuesday, Combs' defense team laid out a proposed bail package for their client, why he should be released pending trial. And they explained why his actions over the last 6 months.
Yeah, so he could take a
toward
private jet
cooperation,
somewhere else, huh?
avoidance. They also call out the government for seemingly making things more difficult than they had to be. His team writes, quote, through counsel, Mr. Combs promptly told the government that he had voluntarily come to New York, offered to tell them specifically where he was, and offered to turn himself in at the appropriate time. Even though Mr. Combs came to New York,
Bro, even though he was in New York, you don't have to be in the state where you get charged or you're wanted in order for them to get you. Like, Big Meech was a drug dealer in Detroit who was in Atlanta, who got charged in either Detroit or Atlanta or whatever. And he went to Houston, and they knocked on his door and got him. Like, in other cases, there's people that are, especially when you have different residences in different states and stuff like that. As long as you're in the United States, it don't matter where the fuck you are. They're gonna come and get you if you don't. But whatever.
authorized his lawyers to tell the government of his location and offer to
You think he doesn't have a residence in New York? He's from New York. Of course he does. Obviously, they seized, not seized, they raided his mansion in, I believe, Florida and LA. So he's not gonna stay over there. Like, it's GG's for those residents. Like, who knows? He would have probably bought a different mansion somewhere in fucking, I don't know, Washington or Alaska or Hawaii, and he would have gone there. But no, he was like, you know what? They didn't raid the New York residence. I'm gonna go there, which is kind of stupid.
Surrender, the government effected an arrest last evening. This, we know, is the government's right. However, that he traveled to New York to self-surrender is also something the court should consider. So what is this bail package that the defense outlines? Well, here are some of the main points.
They should consider he was in a private jet
$50 million bond
on a way to bumfuck nowhere.
By Combs, his mother, his sister, the mother of his eldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons, that $50 million would be secured by the equity in Combs' Miami home. The appraised value of that home on Star Island is
$50 million
so in other words,
bond.
this is what he's saying.
Again, I'm telling you,
can secure
infinite
this.
amount of wealth.
You know that I'm not going to flee the country. I'm not going to break the bail conditions. I'm putting this home up. The defense says that Combs paid off the remaining mortgage, $18 million, so he could use it to secure a bond. The equity in his mother's home in Miami could also be used as collateral. And the letter goes on to say that Combs' travel would be restricted to the Southern District of Florida and the Southern District of New York. Combs apparently surrendered his passport to his attorneys.
I wonder what his net worth is, actually.
Several of his family members, including his children, have surrendered their passports too. Combs' counsel says
I'm telling you,
working on selling his private plane, so he wouldn't be able to just jet off to some exotic locale that has no extradition with the United States. In the bail package information, it's also
which he tried already,
under house arrest and would agree to GPS monitoring. The letter from Combs' attorneys also fires back at the assistant U.S. attorneys working on the case, saying they reached out to him in the days before the raids, but never got any reply. And then on March 25th, agents swooped in with a big show of force, which the attorneys insist was unnecessary.
Yo, GPS monitoring. Bro, those ankle bracelets, I don't know if you know, you got to pay hundreds for a daily. Or I don't know how, sometimes hundreds sometimes you get lucky and you don't pay that much, but daily, on a day basis, day-to-day basis, like, you think the government needs money? They make the money, bro. So, like, no. Instead of offering you a fucking ankle bracelet, monitor bracelet or whatever, or tracking your fucking phone, nah, we're gonna track your ass right here in this small ass fucking jail cell.
Filing also goes into Combs' philanthropic works, including his work with the Boys and Girls Club of America, his donations to open a charter school in New York, and his work fundraising to get PPE for frontline workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. At the end of the document, the defense team states Sean Combs has never evaded, avoided, eluded, or run from a challenge in his life. He will not start now. As he has handled every hardship, he will meet this case head.
Is his defense team fucking stupid? They're just gonna ignore that the motherfucker was at the private jet going to a different non-extradition country to avoid getting detained while the raids were happening. Like, we're just gonna ignore that. We're just gonna ignore that. At least say, yeah, he tried it before. He's not gonna try it again. I'll seize the private jet. Seize all means of transportation. Also, I don't know if I'm stupid, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Anyone that is like a millionaire, like Jeffrey Epstein or fucking Ghislaine Maxwell or fucking Sean Diddy Combs, whatever, these motherfuckers that commit these heinous ass crimes that have such a big fortune should have, like, if they're facing life, let's say Sean Diddy Combs, this fucking mogul, I don't know how the fuck, maybe he's a billionaire now. If you get life sentence, you're not gonna need that money in jail. Like, they should at least give him a limit of like, okay, this is what you can get for your commissary. You're doing life, so this is enough to get you, you know, so you don't struggle in jail eating and shit, and you don't have to eat that slop. Even though personally you should fucking eat that slop because that's what you deserve. But anyways, yeah, give him a limit. Be like, okay, this is your budget for the rest of your life in jail. You don't need millions of fucking dollars or billions. Fucking take that money and be like, okay, we're gonna take care of your family, even though they're set anyways. And then just fucking donate the rest of his fucking net worth, or I don't know, fucking, I don't know, do something with it. But
head on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Am I cooking or am I cooked?
Now, the prosecution had a different view. So the prosecution team also sent a letter.
By the way, by that, I don't mean like anyone who gets fucking charged and has to serve time gets their net worth just fucking, no. I mean people who are doing life that have a bunch of fucking money. That, yeah. That's what I mean.
Letter to the judge defending their assertion that Combs should be locked up with no bail. Their letter states, quote, as reflected by the gravity of the charges in the indictment, the defendant is dangerous and poses an ongoing threat to the safety of the community. If released, he remains a serious risk of flight despite the conditions offered by his counsel. Most glaringly, the defendant also poses a significant risk of obstructing justice.
Yeah, no shit. What as I said, he should have done that after the fucking raid. If there was a window in order to do that. Like, okay, they didn't seize the fucking baby oil. They had to do another raid in order to do, I don't know. But there had to be some fucking significant shit that they didn't find that he could have easily fucking disposed of to cover his ass a little bit. But yeah, he is a fucking danger. What do you mean? Like, someone with infinite amount of money, like, imagine they were like, yeah, let's let's give you a bail. You can post bond, whatever. Just don't leave. Just don't do anything. Just, cooperate. Cooperate. He can use that money, give it to someone else, be like, hey, buy a fucking private jet or a plane or whatever in your name, so that just anyone, convince them, and then fucking pay money to an airport or a private airport or whatever. Pay someone there, blah, 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 blah. Yo, don't say anything. Just, backdoor escape. And leave and flee. And then it's like, fuck it, GG's. But what? Like, it's not like he's gonna do another fucking freak off while he's on bail. Shit. What?
The letter also goes into more detail about some of those specific situations that Combs was allegedly involved in.
He's a 6'9" god, by the way. Maybe he will do another freak off. Who knows?
What he wanted, for example. Quote, the defendant ensured the victims would participate in freak-offs through coercion and violence. For instance, the defendant provided controlled substances, including ketamine, ecstasy, GHB, to female victims so that they could and would continue to engage.
Hold the fuck on. Wait a minute. First of all, he's way more than a 6'9" guy, because this isn't even like a sexual fetish. It's not like, oh, let me see them feet, I can get off to that, or do this, or I have this type of fetish, whatever. Nah, it's not like just that. It's way more than, like, his mind has to be, what the fuck? You have to be on like a different plane, a different universe, to be this sick and twisted, bro. Because also, what the fuck is GHB? I don't know what the fuck GHB is. Gamma, yeah, he already said this. Oh, can treat narcolepsy, but it's an illegal drug that's sometimes used as a party drug. It produces feelings of euphoria, relaxation, and increased sex drive. Oh, I was gonna say euphoria and relaxation and all that. Weed. You can get that from weed, or I don't know what. But increased sex drive. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool.
Engage in freak-offs despite fatigue, physical and emotional exhaustion, and pain. Additionally, both during freak-offs and separate from freak-offs, the defendant subjected female victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse, in part to cause them to engage in freak-offs.
Inside and outside freak-offs, because
objects at and dragged
there's evidence.
Victims, sometimes by their hair. At least a dozen witnesses will confirm that they personally observed the defendant's violence towards women and or the injury sustained by women at the defendant's hand. Now, back to that 2016 video that I mentioned of Combs allegedly.
Please don't show it. I beg you. Please don't show it. I'm actually going to be ready to switch to full cam if he shows it.
They claim that Combs used money and influence to try to keep that video from getting out. Quote, when a member of hotel security staff intervened, the defendant attempted to offer their hotel security officer a stack of cash to ensure his silence.
Also, that's fucking insane. That's insane. Like, again, going back to what I said about taking measures, like preventive measures for something to get so grave and so out of hand. This happened in March of 2016, and he tried to bribe someone to keep it outside of the public view, right? So if you think about it, 16, 17, 18, 19, fucking 8 years. And it's just coming out this year or last year. Someone had to, that was working there. See, I think someone at the hotel, whoever was security back then, they should investigate as well. First of all, for accepting the bribery. Also, I don't think the security or other places of business would keep security footage for that long. So someone had to like seen it been, oh shit, oh my God, either fucking whistle blow or whatever. No, they chose to keep it. They chose to keep it. And then 8 years later, when all these accusations and all this stuff is coming out, you choose to, I don't know, for a quick buck, maybe you sold it to a media outlet for some money. Like, no. What the heck? Dude, I don't, man.
After
So
the
fucked.
security guard refused the defendant's bribe, and after coordination between the defendant and
Okay,
his
never
employees,
mind. Never
the
mind
defendant's
about the
staff
bribe.
contacted other members of hotel security. Within days of the incident, the
So-
surveillance video disappeared from the hotel's servers.
Yeah,
This is
no
the
shit.
exact allegations put forward by Cassandra Ventura, which makes
So either someone was capping, someone was lying when they said, "Oh yeah, no, we don't." Someone had to accept it. If not, I don't know. Someone definitely had manipulated. Someone had put a hand in that, because like, why didn't this shit come out in 2016? Why did it come out now of all time? Like, that obviously someone took it off the hotel server and kept it for this long. And poor Cassie over there was making these claims of being abused and all that, and she had to wait till now to get her justice.
makes you wonder, is she one of the cooperating witnesses with the government? You have to believe so. And clearly, there is something to be said that the prosecutors here are believing the account of Ventura and possibly these other alleged victims. It's not just them.
It wouldn't surprise me if the
Sean
government
Combs. They are
didn't
believing these allegations
believe
to substantiate criminal
her
charges.
claims.
That's
But
big.
dude, the evidence is in
Now,
your
the
face.
letter
How
also
stupid
references
can you be?
Another alleged incident that was first revealed in Ventura's lawsuit last fall, when she alleged that Combs set fire to fellow recording artist Kid Cudi's car when he seemed to show
Okay, he set
interest
fire. I
in
said
Ventura.
it exploded,
According
but
to the filing, quote, in the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of individual one. Multiple witnesses would testify
Kid
at trial
Cudi?
for the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, the defendant's co-conspirator set fire to individual one's vehicle
Kid
by
Cudi?
slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior.
I'm not gonna say anything. But that case right there, right, setting fire to Kid Cudi's car, to me, it seems like a day and night case. I had to. Don't judge me. Don't look at me that way. Don't think of me that, bro. I had to. It was there. He alley-ooped it. I'm sorry.
Police and fire department reports extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set. Multiple witnesses would also testify to the defendant bragging about his role in destroying individual one's car. So again,
That's
prosecutors
crazy.
really taking Cassandra Ventura's allegations
That's
as true.
fucking
And
insane.
again,
He
while he's not
bragging.
specifically charged with arson.
You know how
that is
cocky you
part
gotta
of
be?
the
You gotta be
racketeering
fucking
charge. Goes on. The prosecution they, raised
narcissistic and
concerns
shit.
about Combs' access
It
to
is P
weapons as
Diddy,
well,
though.
especially firearms. The letter includes photographs of weapons found in Combs' homes. Again, this is all the reason why they believe he should be denied bail. In March of 2024, during searches of the defendant's residences in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s, each with
That's
defaced
crazy.
serial numbers, as well as a large capacity drum magazine. As pictured in a close-up image, the serial number of one of the
Yeah,
AR-15s.
if they were defaced, then they're definitely not legal. Yeah, I don't know about those states, but especially in this state, automatic weapons and they're cracking down on that shit. They don't play with that fucking shit. So if they're defaced, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you know, the fucking Second Amendment, whatever the fuck, but like defaced serial numbers, seems kind of sus. Vote out red, because that's definitely sus right there.
is visibly bored through and obscured. By the way, that in and of itself is a federal crime.
Yeah, no shit.
We did an episode about the recent potential shooting of former President Donald Trump. That individual is charged with that crime. The filing goes on to state, quote, 2 of the 3 defaced AR-15s were found in the defendant's Miami bedroom closet, stored broken down in parts, along with magazines that were loaded with ammunition. In addition,
yeah, especially in fucking Florida and Miami, dude. Like, of course it's gonna be against the law and it's gonna be fucking serious. Like, bro, just Broward County alone, it's like you think Chicago and fucking Florida, fucking crazy ass people, man. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm sorry if you're from those places, but you know what goes down there. Like, it's not light work. It's not nothing to play with, bro.
Legally purchased guns with serial numbers, some of which were stored in gun safes, were recovered from the defendant's residences. Now, from there, in this bail letter, Combs is also accused of trying to influence witnesses. Prosecutors state, quote, specifically following the November 2023 lawsuit, the defendant and intermediaries acting on his behalf reached out to potential victims and witnesses to the alleged conduct, including individuals he did not speak to regularly and had not spoken to in years, to attempt to feed those victims and witnesses false narratives about the defendant's criminal conduct. For example, on or about November 19th, 2023, just 3 days after the filing of the lawsuit described above, this is the Cassandra Ventura one, the defendant made multiple calls to another victim of his sexual abuse and recorded certain of those calls under the cell phone, using the cell phone of a co-conspirator. During the calls, the defendant repeatedly asked for the victim's support and friendship and attempted to convince the victim that she had willingly engaged in acts constituting sexual abuse. The defendant
That's crazy. That's crazy. That means yeah, he's a manipulator, dude. Like, honestly, he's like, oh yeah, remember we're friends now, we're cool. Remember that time, blah 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 blah. And they're like, no. Well, bitch, you engaged in it. You did it, blah blah blah. Damn, dude. I know there's some states that it's illegal. Like, I know in Georgia you need at least the consent of one of the parties that are engaging in the conversation in order to record it. But I know in like Los Angeles, you need the consent of the other party. So definitely, I don't think he was like, hey, do you mind if I record this call? Bitch, fuck you. You're my accomplice. No, he definitely didn't do that shit. So that should be a charge right there. Like, what? 3 charges, and he doesn't get the charge for the automatic rifle, and he doesn't get the charge for this. Like,
sure, the victim that if she needed,
I wonder how many fucking charges he's gonna get, man.
About nothing else. Quote, even more concerning since learning about the criminal investigation, including following the execution of the search warrants at his residences, Combs contacted other witnesses on multiple occasions, including other witnesses who had received grand jury subpoenas, basically accusing him of obstruction. And by the way, the prosecution also points out that many of the crimes
that definitely seems like
Combs is accused of
Sammy the Bull right there.
So putting him on house arrest,
trying to rig fucking
do much to mitigate potential wrongdoing inside his residence. Now they talk about the weight of the evidence, how much they have. Remember I said there wasn't a lot in the indictment? Well, here they talk about the weight of the evidence as a factor to consider in whether to deny bail.
I'm telling you,
as to
they're gonna throw that fucking pasta on the wall or the roof and see if it sticks.
Many of whom
I think it's the
saw
wall.
or experienced the defendant's abuse. Many of these witnesses corroborate one another, and their accounts are consistent with the other types of evidence discussed below. The government only expects that number to continue to grow, given that the investigation, which is now public, is ongoing. And also, the prosecution revealed in its filing that the government has seized more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, hard drives, thumb drives, cameras, a surveillance system that they say shows this criminal activity. So based on that, we can assume that the evidence the Southern District of New York has against Combs is likely vast. Quote, the evidence also consists of physical evidence, which was seized,
and there's probably some undiscovered shit too. Like, there's way more stuff,
as well as on his person and the persons of certain co-conspirators. In addition to the firearms and electronics discussed above, The physical evidence also includes other evidence of freak-offs, including over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant. Pretty disgusting. Now, the prosecution ends their letter to the judge by saying, quote, there are no conditions of bail that would assure the appearance and compliance of the defendant or the safety of others. Accordingly,
maybe it's my
bail should be
my biome.
denied.
A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done.
New York is going to be like, yo, give me that. Remember that key I gave you? Remember the copy of the key I gave you to the city? Give that shit back. No, of course not. Also, like, why would they even follow through with it if there was so many things going on and so many fucking accusations? Like, maybe you would think someone would be like, something's off. Something's off. Like this individual here, I don't know. Maybe we gotta investigate. But no, of course not. It's P Diddy. He's famous. He contributed so much to fucking New York and the culture and all that. Of course, man. We're gonna sweep that under the rug. Water under the bridge. Nothing to see here. That is fucking crazy.
This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call.
Well, if you're watching the stream and you have any tips or whatever, that right there, that's the number. Honestly, I feel like calling the fucking tip line after watching this video, because the prosecution and everything, 3 charges, and it seems like there's so much substantial evidence to have more charges. Bro, I feel like after watching this video and seeing how everything went down since his prominence, since his rise, and now his demise, I feel like, bro, I can prosecute him and come up with at least 20 fucking charges.
1-877-4-HSI-TIP. I want to express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them.
So what happened? Well, there was a hearing in front of the Honorable Robin F. Tarnofsky, a magistrate judge from the Southern District of New York, and arguments for and against bail were put forward by the prosecution and the defense. And remember, there is actually a presumption of detainment in this case. And the judge reportedly said that after listening to all the evidence, that the presumption has not been rebutted, meaning that Sean Combs is denied bail. He must remain
I was going to say,
bars.
I thought it was the opposite. I was like,
There was a significant amount of violence.
Is the judge a fucking P Diddy
There
fan?
was the allegation of coercion.
Is he a bad boy
witnesses,
fan?
And even though she seemed to thank his family for coming, she cannot release him at this time. Now, we will, of course, keep you updated on any and all developments in this case.
This picture was taken years ago. Look at the yellow in his teeth. There was where's the photo? Where's the photo? Is it this one? No, it's let's see. Bro had them pearly whites. Look at these pearly whites, dude. Like, how much you think he spent on this smile? He definitely, dude. This shit's glistening like Mr. Clean's bald head did. Look at that.
And even though
Look at that.
She seemed to thank his family for coming, she cannot release him at this.
See, he's probably looking at a mirror right now. See this fucking lens glare? It's not from lenses. It's from his fucking teeth.
This time. Now, we will, of course,
look at that.
On any and all developments in this case of Sean Diddy Combs, as it inches now even closer to a criminal.
It's as yellow as his chain.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the little inside scoop. But I think I covered mostly everything that he covered and even more. Shit's crazy, man. It is actually insane. But I think it's a case of you let him get away with everything that he has gotten away with, and there's still more to come. There's more charges. There's more accomplices. There's just like we found so much already. Imagine what is yet to be discovered. That is fucking insane. But yeah, I think what we learned so far from this and from the video that we just watched is that Diddy is definitely a bad boy. He's definitely a bad boy. That's why it's fitting, the name of his record label.